Week 8, a bunch of big wins, and they come in all shapes and sizes. Man, this is the recap. Let's go.
We doing everything they talk about. You know I'm everything a boss about. Not putting work and gotta toss them out. I'm really biting, they just barking out. I'm really riding, they just parking now. His street, what to talk about. See the big H when I'm walking out.
Welcome to another episode of Base Coverage, everyone. Presented to you by Knoah Teamwear. I'm your host, Jamal Clay, and we're going to recap Week 8. A lot of big wins coming in all shapes and sizes this past weekend. We have a flip in playoff seedings if the playoffs were to end today. So a lot of interesting things to talk about. First, let's dive into the picks from last week's game. Me and Nate actually tied with our picks, both going 1 and 2, as you can see here on the screen now. But like I said, the tie goes to the winner, so we're going to be giving out some free Knoah swag to this lucky representative who I'm putting on the screen right now. So congratulations are in order to them. But I don't want to take up too much more of your time. There's some interesting things to talk about, so let's get right into it. First game we got. The Barcelona Dragons traveled all the way to Turkey, and they took an L. The Istanbul Rams get their first win of the season. You know, Isaiah Green, first game in the ELF, put on a great performance. One bad interception, but ultimately 100 yards passing, 100 yards on the ground with a touchdown. I think a lot of things happened in this game. One, I think Barcelona definitely didn't come prepared. I think they were sleeping on the Rams, and let's be honest, the Rams didn't give us much to hope about for the season that they were going to compete. But I saw a different Rams team. I saw a rejuvenated Rams team, a re-energized Rams team, and shout out to that defense. And one thing you could say about the Rams is the past game versus Barcelona, they did a good job with their red zone defense and keeping the ball in front. They never allowed Barcelona to get big plays downfield. They kept everything in front of them. Kyle Sweet never really got off. Benjamin Plouffe had a pretty good game. Zach Elworth didn't have a bad game, but again, it was really a bend but don't break defense. And you held that Barcelona defense to 13 points in the first half. Kudos to them. And then on the offensive side of the ball for the Rams, they were able to move the ball. They were able to complement their defense, who, to be honest, the Rams defense hasn't played bad all season. They've been in a lot of bad situations, but they haven't played bad all season. They're not a great defense, but I don't think they're as bad as, 70-0 bad. But, we'll see that. We'll see them get their rematch versus the Sea Devils this past weekend. But ultimately, I think the Rams, they played a great game. I think this was good for the league. I don't think the league could afford another 70-0 blowout. I think this is good for that Rams organization as a stepping stone. And I think this is good for Barcelona. I think, they wake up and realize, listen, the second half of the season is hard to beat a team twice. And they're about to play their first half teams all over again. And they want to keep vying for that playoffs, for the playoff seeding and get home field advantage. They're going to have some tough games, and they got another tough one this upcoming weekend versus the Fire, where, there's potential conference on the line in this game. So we'll see what happens, and we'll break down that in the pregame show this week. But good win by the Rams, way to shake up the league, and we'll see how Barcelona responds to this next week. Next game we got the Hamburg Sea Devils travel Dusseldorf, play the Rhine Fire. If there's one thing that I've learned from watching these two teams play twice, is that this is not a good matchup for the Fire. The Sea Devils, defensive front is not a good matchup for the Rams offense. They weren't able to do anything. I mean, Rams started with their backup quarterback before Jadrian actually came in, I think, on the second or third drive, but they sacked Jadrian Clark, 4 times. And again, Jadrian was just signed. He hasn't had time to practice or build chemistry with these, so I get it. But ultimately, it's more than that. It's dominating up front in the trenches, which is what it came down to. So Lee Cisse, hey, there's one thing that I would say about Cisse is that each week he's getting better. He does a good job at literally managing the game. 12 for 1,800 some odd yards. They're not record-breaking numbers, but he does enough. And he gets the ball in their playmakers' hands. Glenn took it, Constant Lamar Jordan. He gets the ball in their hands and he allows them to do it. If I'm being honest, I think the Sea Devils are almost a complete team. They got guy, and they're winning on the offensive line and the defensive line. So kudos to those guys. Coach Kendra Ellison. I mean, this guy is proven, every week why he needs to be considered as a head coach for, any head coach opening going into 2023, along with the two spots that are opening right now. The two spots that are open right now with the Rams and the Stuttgart Surge. This guy gets the most out of his players. He knows how to challenge his players, and they love playing for him. And you can see that. And the Sea Devils, each week, they just go about their business. A win is a win is a win for them. And you can see out here, whether it's a blowout, or whether it's a 14-0 win over the Kings, they're going to find a way to win. So the Sea Devils, right now, as you can see in the playoff season, they're in a 2 spot due to the Barcelona loss, and they control their own destiny. And they got one more game against Barcelona that can solidify that. So kudos to the Sea Devils. Ryan Fire back in that cluster of teams that, are all vying for that playoff spot. Obviously, the loss of Barcelona helps in terms of, conference wins, but we'll see where this team goes. They just released a whole bunch of guys, a whole bunch of coaches, complete makeover mid-season. So we'll see how this pans out, but good win for, the Sea Devils advancing up in the seedings. Last one, the Austrian Derby. The Raiders of Tyrol travel to Vienna and play the Vienna Vikings. And there's one thing we know about the Vienna Vikings is that they are the most complete team in the league. The first time these guys played, Vienna was battling a lot of injuries. A lot of guys weren't there. There was a rain delay, and they barely squeaked this out. And you could tell the chemistry wasn't there week one. Now they play each other again, and they just clearly, showed their dominance versus the Raiders. Jackson Ehrman, he's just a silent killer in the pocket. Him and Boo are just on another level. His connection with Danny Mitchell, the offensive coordinator, is on another level. These guys are just in sync. And, early in the season, I didn't know how good they were because they weren't really challenged schedule-wise because, the first game Raiders, then, Frankfurt, Jacobs hurt, and then they have Stuttgart, and then they have Rocklaw. And then that Barcelona game came where they kind of faced some adversity and they were able to pull a tough one out. Here, they just stamped their dominance versus the Raiders. And Raiders had an opportunity to make some noise and shake some things up in that conference, and now they're back in that cluster of teams battling for that 4th spot. So that just going to make things even more interesting. I think it's safe to say right now, with the Vikings as the number 1 team in the league, that it's well earned, it's well deserved, and they're just a gritty, well coached team. And it's almost routine. We're seeing Jackson Ehrman throwing 90-yard bombs to Jordan Boa week in and week out. So, we'll see how things play out the rest of the season. But, it's going to take a lot to take this team down. They still have Frankfurt again. They still have Barcelona again. So we'll see what happens. But Vikings are killing it right now. Kudos to them. Kudos to the Vikings. That's all we have for today. Thank you guys for tuning in to the recap. Tune in this Friday for the pregame show. I got a good guest coming on. You guys aren't going to want to miss. I'm sure a lot of people haven't heard from this guy, but you're going to want to tune in to see who I got coming in on Friday. So Friday, the pregame show. We'll talk about week 9 before we head into the mega bye week where everyone is off, and we'll see where there's going to be some movement, but we'll talk about that on Friday. But again, thanks for tuning in. This won't be the last time we chop it up.